Jai-Ho stood very still as the nurse placed a small silver device against his arm. The 5-year-old boy did not cry when it beeped. The nurse smiled. Perfect score again, Jai-Ho. You're at the top of your class for reflexes. Jai-Ho's mother, son, looked proud but worried. And this is why they picked him. The school principal nodded. The Galactic Council wants our best. Jai-Ho's combat rating is the highest we've seen in a 5-year-old. Son frowned, but he's just a child. He plays with blocks and draws pictures, and climbs faster than children 2 years older, knows how to fall safely, and can think quickly in group games, said the principal. These are the skills they value. 3 days later, Jai-Ho sat in a room with 5 other children from around Earth. They were the first humans chosen for the Galactic Educational Exchange Program. Each child had a small robot floating near them to help translate. A tall woman with a kind face spoke to the children. You 6 will go to different schools across the galaxy. You will learn how alien children your age study. Jai-Ho, you're going to the Nexus Battle Academy. Jai-Ho raised his hand. Will they have snack time? The woman smiled. They have different food, but yes, they have snack time. Jai-Ho nodded, satisfied with this answer. Across the galaxy, Administrator Tak stared at the human child's file on his screen. His 4 eyes blinked in different patterns, showing his confusion. Combat rating measurements beginning at age 3. He rumbled to his assistant. But humans are classified as a non-aggressive species. His assistant, a thin being with pale blue skin, checked another file. It seems all human children are tested regularly. They call the facilities kindergartens. They're early learning centers. Tak's upper eyes narrowed. Why would a peaceful species test combat skills in babies? Unknown, sir, but this child, Jai-Ho, has exceptional scores. Tak stood up from his desk. His massive frame made the floor vibrate slightly. Show me the human combat training videos. The assistant hesitated. Sir, that's the strange part. We requested their training methods, and they sent us this. On the large screen appeared images of human children playing on colorful equipment. Some climbed on bars, others chased each other, and some built structures with blocks. What is this? Tak demanded. They call it play. Sir, apparently, it's how they develop skills. Tak watched as a human child fell from a climbing frame, rolled perfectly, and stood up laughing. Interesting. The roll was technically perfect, exactly how we train our level 2 cadets to absorb impact. Should we reconsider accepting the human child, sir? Tak's lower eyes blinked slowly. No, I want to see what they're hiding. No species develops combat reflexes by accident. Jai-Ho held his mother's hand tightly at the spaceport. His father kneeled down to look him in the eyes. Remember what we talked about, Jai-Ho. Be kind, listen to your teachers, and share your toys. Even if they have 4 arms or blue skin, Jai-Ho asked. Especially then, his father said with a smile. A voice announced that boarding was starting for the Galactic Council ship. Jai-Ho hugged his parents one last time. I'll be back for summer break, he promised, repeating what they had told him. As he walked toward the ship with his robot translator floating beside him, Jai-Ho looked back at his parents. They waved, trying not to cry. On the ship, a friendly alien with spotted skin showed Jai-Ho to his seat. First human at Nexus Academy. Very exciting. Jai-Ho nodded politely. He wasn't sure if it was exciting or scary. Maybe both. As the ship lifted off, Jai-Ho watched Earth grow smaller through the window. He wondered what alien school would be like. Would they play tag? Would they have art time? Would they like him? At the same moment, Administrator Tak reviewed the human child's file one more time. Combat-rated kindergartens, he muttered. What are humans really preparing for? Jai-Ho stood at the entrance of Nexus Battle Academy, looking up at the huge building. It was bigger than any school he had ever seen. The walls were shiny metal, and the doors opened by themselves. His small robot translator, Pix, floated next to him. "Are you ready, Jae-ho?" Pix asked in Korean. Jae-ho nodded, but his stomach felt funny. He watched alien children walking into the school. Some had 4 arms. Some had scales instead of skin. Some had extra eyes. All of them wore the same gray uniform that Jae-ho now wore. "They look strong," Jae-ho whispered to Pix. "Many come from warrior races," Pix said. "But you were chosen because you are special too." Jae-ho wasn't sure about that. He took a deep breath and walked through the doors. Inside, a tall alien with purple skin and silver markings met them. "Welcome, human Jae-ho. I am Guide Mara. I will show you to your class." As they walked through the halls, Jae-ho saw training rooms with obstacle courses, climbing walls, and strange machines. Some older alien children were fighting with training weapons. Others were lifting heavy things. It didn't look like his kindergarten at all. Guide Mara stopped at a door marked Level 1 Combat Training. "This is your class," she said. "Master Velk is your teacher." The door slid open. Inside, about 20 young aliens sat in a circle on the floor. At the front stood a massive being with thick gray skin and small tusks. He had arms as big as Jae-ho's whole body. "Master Velk, this is the human exchange student," Guide Mara said. Master Velk looked down at Jae-ho. His eyes were yellow with thin black lines in them. Smaller than I expected. No claws, no armor." He sounded disappointed. "Sit down, human. We were just beginning." Jae-ho found an empty spot in the circle next to a green alien with 4 arms and long silver hair. "Hi," the alien whispered as Jae-ho sat down. "I'm Duma." "I'm Jae-ho," he whispered back. Silence. Master Velk's voice boomed. "Today we begin basic defensive postures. But first, we must assess the new student." Jae-ho felt all eyes turn to him. Master Velk pointed to a blue-skinned boy across the circle. "Tech, you are top of level 1. Show the human our basic combat stance." Tech stood up. He had blue skin with darker blue patches and 3 fingers on each hand. He moved into a wide stance with his arms up. His mouth curved into what might have been a smile, but it didn't look friendly. "Now you, human," Master Velk said. Jae-ho stood up. His legs felt wobbly. He tried to copy Tech's stance. Master Velk walked around him, looking at his form. Weak arms. No natural defenses. Poor balance. Some of the alien children laughed. Jae-ho's face felt hot. "What do they teach you in human battle school?" Master Velk asked. "We don't have battle school," Jae-ho said quietly. "We have kindergarten. We learn letters and numbers. We play games." More laughter. Even Master Velk made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. "Games? And your file says you have combat ratings. Interesting." Master Velk shook his large head. "Sit down, human. You have much to learn." During break time, Jae-ho sat alone in a corner of the play area. It wasn't like his school's playground. There were ropes to climb, heavy balls to throw, and training dummies to hit. No slides or swings. "Hey, human," a voice called. It was Tech, with 2 other alien children. "If you don't have battle school, how did you get combat ratings?" Jae-ho shrugged. "We just do tests sometimes. The nurse uses a machine." Tech moved closer. "I think humans are too weak for this academy." "Leave him alone, Tech." Duna appeared next to Jae-ho, all 4 of her arms crossed. "It's his first day." "Defending the soft species, Duna." Tech laughed. "Fine. But tomorrow in paired combat, we'll see how well games prepare him." Tech and his friends walked away. Jae-ho looked at Duna. "Thank you," he said. Duna sat next to him. "Don't worry about Tech. He thinks being strong is everything." Jae-ho looked around at the alien children training. Maybe he's right. Duna shook her head. There are many kinds of strength. Maybe humans have a different kind. Jae-ho hoped she was right. He really hoped she was right. Teacher Hae-yoon stood at the door of Daegu Central Kindergarten, waiting. Today was a big day. Her class would welcome the first alien children to ever attend a human school. She felt both excited and nervous. "Remember, children," she said to her class of 25-year-olds sitting on the colorful carpet, "our new friends may look different, but we treat everyone with kindness." A small girl raised her hand. "Will they speak Korean?" "They have translator devices, like the one Jae-ho took with him to space," Hae-yoon explained, "so we can all understand each other." The classroom door slid open. 3 small aliens walked in with 2 tall adults behind them. The human children gasped but stayed in their seats as they had promised. "Welcome to Daegu Central Kindergarten," Hae-yoon said with a bow. "We are honored to have you join our class." One of the adult aliens, who had red-scaled skin and wore a formal uniform, spoke. "We present Rix of the Torlak, Mev of the Sulith, and Zul of the Observant Peoples. They are honored to learn human ways." The 3 young aliens stepped forward. Rix had tough, gray skin with small ridges and stood very straight. Mev was tall and thin with pale skin that seemed to glow slightly. Zul had green skin and 6 eyes that all moved in different directions. "Children, say hello," Hae-yoon prompted. "Hello," the human children called together. The alien children looked startled, but then gave small bows, copying what Hae-yoon had done. After the alien adults left, Hae-yoon showed the new students around the classroom. Rix, the Torlak child, frowned at everything. "Where are the training weapons?" he asked, looking confused. "We don't have those here," Hae-yoon said gently. "We have toys for playing, books for reading, and art supplies for drawing." Zul, whose 6 eyes were taking in everything at once, pointed to the corner of the room. "What is that area?" Hae-yoon smiled. "That's our active play space. We have soft mats for tumbling, climbing bars, and balance beams." Mev, the quiet Selith child, spoke for the first time. "For combat training." "For play and exercise," Hae-yoon corrected. "Though sometimes the children play fighting games there." All 3 alien children looked at each other in confusion. "It is time for free play," Hae-yoon announced to the class. "Everyone may choose their own activity for the next 30 minutes." The human children jumped up and ran to different parts of the room. Some went to blocks, others to the reading corner, and a group headed for the active play space. The alien children stood still, not knowing what to do. "You can do whatever you like," Hae-yoon encouraged them. Suddenly, a loud shout came from the active play space. The alien children turned quickly. 2 human boys were wrestling on the mats while 3 others watched. "Get him, Min," one watcher shouted. "Rolled away, June," another called. Rix looked alarmed. "They are fighting. Should we not stop them?" Hae-yoon smiled. "They are just playing. See how they are laughing. They know the rules. No real hitting. Stop if someone says stop." As they watched, one boy rolled away from the other and jumped up. The second boy charged, but the first one dodged and then gently pushed the charging boy onto the mat. "Good dodge, June," Hae-yoon called out. "Remember to keep your balance, Min." Zol's 6 eyes all focused on Hae-yoon. "You are teaching them combat moves." "I am supervising their play and helping them learn body control," Hae-yoon corrected. Mev pointed to a wall chart with colored stars. "What is that?" "That's our skills chart. Children earn stars for mastering different physical skills. Rolling, climbing, jumping, catching." The alien children looked at each other again. Rix whispered something to the others. They nodded. "May we join the play?" Rix asked carefully. "Of course," Hae-yoon said. "Remember our safety rules first." As the alien children walked toward the mats, Zol whispered to the others, "This is very strange. They call it play, but they are learning fighting skills. And the teacher gives rewards for good technique," Mev added quietly. "Perhaps," Rick said thoughtfully, Humans train differently than we do. On the mats, the human children welcome their new classmates with smiles. Want to play robots and astronauts? A boy asked. The aliens had no idea what that meant, but they nodded anyway. Whatever this strange human training was, they were determined to learn about it. Jai-Ho stood in line with the other Level 1 students. Today was his third day at Nexus Battle Academy. Master Velk paced in front of them, his heavy steps making the floor vibrate. Today we test adaptability and reflexes, Master Velk announced. I have set up an obstacle course. You must get from start to finish as fast as possible. Jai-Ho looked at the course. There were tall walls to climb, ropes to swing on, narrow beams to walk across, and tunnels to crawl through. It reminded him of the playground at home, only bigger. Tech, you go first, Master Velk ordered. Show the class how it's done. Tech stepped forward with a confident smile. When Master Velk blew his whistle, Tech ran to the first wall and climbed it quickly. He moved through the course with strong, practiced movements. When he finished, the timer showed 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Very good, Master Velk said. Who's next? Several more alien children took their turns. Some did well, others struggled. Then it was Jai-Ho's turn. Let's see what the human can do, Master Velk said. Some of the children laughed quietly. Jai-Ho took a deep breath. When the whistle blew, he ran to the wall. It was high, but not as high as the climbing tree at his old playground. He found handholds and pulled himself up quickly. At the top, he saw the next obstacle was a gap with a rope to swing across. Without hesitating, Jai-Ho grabbed the rope and pushed off hard, swinging his body and letting go at just the right moment to land on the other side. He moved through the rest of the course quickly. The narrow beam was like the balance log at home. The tunnels were fun to crawl through. When he reached the end, he was breathing hard but smiling. 2 minutes and 45 seconds, Master Velk announced, sounding surprised. The class was silent. Jai-Ho looked around, confused. Had he done something wrong? How did you do that, human? Tech demanded. You're not strong. Jai-Ho shrugged. It's like the playground at home. Master Velk's yellow eyes narrowed. You've done this before. Not this exactly, Jai-Ho said, but we climb and swing and balance at kindergarten every day. During playtime. Master Velk made a note on his tablet. Interesting. Very interesting. In his office after class, Administrator Tak reviewed the day's training videos. He stopped at Jai-Ho's obstacle course run and watched it again. The human child's technique is unusual, he said to his assistant. Look at how he adapts his body position for each obstacle. That's not beginner skill. Could he have been trained secretly? The assistant asked. I'm beginning to think their whole system is a kind of secret training, Tak replied. He pulled up the human files again and found videos of Earth kindergartens. Children climbing, swinging, running, and jumping on colorful equipment. They call it play, but look at the skills being developed, Tak said. Balance, timing, spatial awareness, risk assessment, basic combat skills, the assistant agreed. I want more information, Tak decided. Send a message to our representatives on Earth. Tell them to observe human children closely during what they call free playtime. Meanwhile, Jai-Ho sat in the academy dining hall with Duna. Other children kept looking at him and whispering. You surprised everyone today, Duna said. Nobody thought you would be good at the course. It was fun, Jai-Ho said, eating something that looked like blue rice. Don't you have playgrounds where you come from? We have training facilities, Duna explained. But training isn't supposed to be fun. It's serious. Jai-Ho frowned. That's sad. At home, we learn a lot during playtime. Across the room, Tech was watching Jai-Ho with angry eyes. He didn't like being beaten by a human. Next to him, 2 bigger alien boys nodded as Tech whispered to them. Tech doesn't look happy, Jai-Ho said. Duna glanced over. Be careful. Tech doesn't like losing, especially to someone he thinks is weaker. I'm not trying to make him mad, Jai-Ho said. I just did my best. I know, Duna said, but I think you need to watch out. Kek might try to make trouble for you. Jai-Ho sighed. He missed his friends at home. There, winning a game didn't make others angry at you. You just played another game and had fun together. Space school was turning out to be more complicated than he had expected. Jai-Ho sat with a group of younger alien children in the Academy's junior training room. It was his 6th day at Nexus Battle Academy. Master Velk had asked him to help the smallest students practice basic movements, while the older ones worked on more advanced skills. Like this, Jai-Ho showed a small purple alien child how to roll safely. Tuck your head, round your back, and roll on your shoulder. The little alien tried to copy him, but got stuck halfway through. Jai-Ho helped her up with a smile. That was good. Try again, he encouraged. Across the room, Tech and his friends were stacking heavy training blocks for their exercise. They kept looking at Jai-Ho and laughing. Jai-Ho tried to ignore them. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared. The lights flickered, and the room shook. Attention! A voice announced over the speakers. We are experiencing a gravity system malfunction. Please remain calm. The little aliens looked scared. Jai-Ho remembered what his teachers at home had taught him during emergency drills. Stay calm and help others. It's okay, he told the young aliens. Just sit down where you are until. A loud crack interrupted him. One of the walls was shaking. The tall equipment rack next to it began to tip over slowly as the gravity in the room changed. It was falling toward where the youngest alien sat frozen in fear. Without thinking, Jai-Ho ran. In the changing gravity, it felt like running through water. He reached the little aliens just as the heavy rack was about to crash down. Move, he shouted, pushing 3 small aliens out of the way. He grabbed a 4th one and rolled with it, just like he practiced thousands of times on the playground at home. The rack crashed down where they had been sitting moments before. Training weapons and equipment scattered across the floor. When Master Velk and other teachers rushed in, they found Jai-Ho helping the little aliens to their feet, checking if they were hurt. Is everyone okay? Master Velk demanded. The small purple alien Jai-Ho had been teaching pointed at him. The human saved us. He moved so fast. Master Velk looked at Jai-Ho with new eyes. How did you know what to do, human? Jai-Ho shrugged. We practice emergency drills at home. And I play rescue games with my friends. In Administrator Tak's office, Master Velk reported what had happened. The human child reacted faster than most of our advanced students would have. Master Velk said. His movements were practiced, not panicked. Tak nodded. Show me the security recording. They watched as Jai-Ho pushed the younger aliens to safety and performed a perfect protective roll with the last one. Tak froze the image and zoomed in on Jai-Ho's face. Look at his expression, Tak said. No fear. Complete focus. Like a trained soldier, Master Velk agreed. And yet he claims they were just games and drills, Tak mused. I've received reports from our observers on Earth. They say human children regularly practice simulations called tag, hide and seek, and capture the flag. Games? Master Velk asked. So they claim, Tak said. But our analysts say these games teach pursuit tactics, stealth, territory defense, and team strategy. Master Velk's yellow eyes widened. Those are advanced combat concepts. Indeed, Tak agreed. And today we saw the human child use emergency evacuation training that looked remarkably like our Level 3 rescue protocols. But why disguise training as play? Master Velk asked. Tak looked thoughtful. I have a theory. Humans may have found a way to train their young without the psychological pressure our methods create. By making it enjoyable, they ensure the skills become instinct. Jai-Ho sat in the medical bay while a doctor checked him for injuries. Duna waited nearby. You could have been hurt, she said. I couldn't just watch them get crushed, Jai-Ho replied. Even Tech is talking about what you did, Duma said. He keeps asking how a soft species learned to move like that. Jai-Ho smiled a little. Maybe I should tell him about dodgeball. That game really teaches you how to avoid getting hit. Duma tilted her head. What's dodgeball? It's a fun game where Jai-Ho began, but was interrupted when Administrator Tak entered the room. Jai-Ho of Earth, Tak said formally. The Academy thanks you for your quick action today. You prevented serious injuries. Jai-Ho nodded politely. I just did what anyone would do. No, Tak said. Not anyone. What you did required training and instinct. He paused. I believe it's time we learned more about these human games of yours. The alarm bell rang at Daegu Central Kindergarten. Teacher Hae-yoon clapped her hands. Everyone, remember what we practiced. This is an emergency drill. All the human children immediately stood up from their activities. Without pushing or talking, they formed a line at the door. Each child put one hand on the shoulder of the child in front of them. Rix, Mev, and Zol watched in confusion. The human children who had been laughing and playing moments ago now stood silent and serious. Alien friends, please join the line, Hae-yoon said calmly. The 3 alien children quickly got in line. Hae-yoon checked that everyone was ready, then led them out the door. The line of children walked quickly but quietly through the halls and out of the building to a gathering spot in the playground. Well done, everyone, Hae-yoon said when they were all outside. 9.5 seconds faster than last time. The human children cheered, then began to chat and play as if nothing had happened. I don't understand, Rick said to Hae-yoon. They were so different during the alarm. Hae-yoon nodded. We practice emergency responses regularly. When there's danger, we need to act together quickly. But they're playing again now, Mev pointed out. Of course, Hae-yoon said. The emergency is over. Children should be happy and play when it's safe. Zol's 6 eyes blinked in different patterns. On our worlds, we train for emergencies with fear. It helps us remember the danger is real. Hae-yoon shook her head. We don't want our children to live in fear. We want them prepared but still able to enjoy their childhood. Later that day, Hae-yoon introduced a new game to the class. Today we will play Defenders and Invaders, she announced. Half of you will defend this fort. She pointed to a structure made of soft blocks. The other half will try to capture this flag. She held up a red cloth. The human children cheered. They loved this game. I need 4 defenders and 4 invaders, Hae-yoon said. Who wants to play first? Many hands shot up. Hae-yoon chose 8 children, including Rix, Mev, and Zol. Rix and Mev, you are defenders with Min and Sue. Zol, you are an invader with Jun, Bin, and Young. Defenders, you have 2 minutes to plan. Invaders, come with me to plan your attack. After planning time, the game began. The human children moved quickly, using teamwork and strategy. Rix and Mev were surprised by how serious the game felt, even though everyone was smiling. When the round ended, Hae-yoon gathered them for discussion. What worked well? She asked. Our team split up to confuse the defenders, Jun said proudly. We took turns guarding different sides, Min explained. Hae-yoon nodded. Good strategies. What could be better next time? The children offered ideas for improvement. Hae-yoon wrote them down on her tablet. Suddenly, Zol raised a hand. This isn't just a game, the 6-eyed alien said. This is tactical training, team coordination, resource protection, distraction techniques. The human children looked confused. Hae-yoon smiled. It is a game, she said. But yes, we learn many skills while playing it. Mev's pale skin glowed brighter. On my world, we study these concepts in theory classes. We don't practice them until we are older. Humans learn by doing, Hae-yoon explained. Playing helps children understand ideas better than just talking about them. Rick stood very straight, as Torlax did when showing respect. I begin to understand. Your kindergarten is not soft training. It is clever training. That evening, the three alien children sent a message to their supervisor. Human children practice emergency responses with perfect discipline, Rix reported. Then they return to play immediately. Their games teach battle strategies and teamwork, Mev added, but they call it fun. They learn to handle fear and stress without being damaged by it, Zol concluded. It is very effective. Their supervisor's reply came quickly. Continue observation. The Galactic Council is most interested in these human methods. They may be more advanced than we thought. The three alien children looked at each other. Their view of humans was changing. These weren't soft, unprepared beings. These were cleverly trained young warriors who didn't even know they were warriors. And somehow, that made them even more impressive. Jai-Ho sat in the academy dining hall, eating breakfast with Duna. 2 weeks had passed since the gravity accident. Things had changed since then. Some alien children now looked at him with respect. Others seemed even more suspicious. Jai-Ho of Earth, a loud voice called. Jai-Ho looked up to see Tech standing by their table. I challenge you to a formal combat assessment. The dining hall went silent. Everyone stared at them. What's a formal combat assessment? Jai-Ho asked Duna quietly. It's a training fight, Duna whispered. Students can challenge each other to test their skills. Jai-Ho frowned. I don't want to fight Tech. Tech laughed. Are humans afraid of fair combat? Or do you only save small children? Jai-Ho felt his face get hot. I'm not afraid. I just don't see why we need to fight. To see who is better, Tech said, as if it was obvious. You got lucky on the obstacle course. Let's see how you do face to face. You don't have to accept, Duna told Jai-Ho. Before Jai-Ho could answer, Master Velk appeared behind Tech. A formal challenge has been issued, Master Velk announced. Jai-Ho of Earth, do you accept? Jai-Ho looked around at all the alien faces watching him. He didn't want to fight, but he also didn't want everyone to think humans were weak or scared. I accept, he said finally. Master Velk nodded. The assessment will take place in the training arena at midday. Regular rules apply. In his office, Administrator Tak received an alert about the challenge. Tech has challenged the human to formal combat, his assistant reported. Tak was about to cancel it when his screen lit up with a message from Earth. It contained new observations of human children playing something called dodgeball and freeze tag. Look at this, Tak said. These games teach evasion, spatial awareness, and tactical thinking. Should we cancel the challenge? The assistant asked. The human child might get hurt. Tak thought for a moment. No, I'm curious to see human training methods in action, but modify the rules. No striking, only touch points and evasion. Jai-Ho stood on one side of the training arena. Many students and teachers had come to watch. Tech stood opposite him, looking confident. Master Velk stepped between them. By order of Administrator Tak, this assessment will use modified rules. No striking is allowed. Points are scored by touching target zones on your opponent. First to 5 points wins. Tech frowned. That's not real combat. Those are the rules, Master Velk said firmly. Take positions. Jai-Ho felt relieved. This sounded more like a game than a fight. Maybe he could do this. Begin, Master Velk shouted. Tech moved forward quickly, reaching for Jai-Ho's chest, a target zone. Jai-Ho stepped aside, just like dodging a ball. Tech missed. Jai-Ho remembered playing tag with his friends. The key was to watch your opponent's movements and be ready to change direction quickly. Tech lunged again. Jai-Ho ducked under his arm and lightly touched Tech's back as he passed. Point to Jai-Ho, Master Velk announced. Tech looked surprised. He tried different approaches, moving faster and using his longer reach. But Jai-Ho kept dodging, spinning, and ducking in unpredictable ways. In the stands, Duna watched with wide eyes. The human moves like water, another student whispered. When Jai-Ho scored his third point, Tech grew angry. He charged forward, trying to corner Jiho against the edge of the arena. Jiho waited until the last second, then dropped and rolled between Tech's legs, coming up behind him to touch another target zone. Point to Jiho. 4-0. Master Vel called. In the observation booth, Administrator Tak watched with great interest. The human's movements aren't formal training sequences, he noted. They're adaptive, creative. Tech made one last desperate lunge. Jiho jumped aside and gently tapped Tech's shoulder. Final point. Jiho of Earth wins 5-0. Master Velk announced. The arena was silent for a moment, then burst into excited chatter. No one had expected this outcome. Jiho walked to Tech and held out his hand. Good match, he said, remembering what his coaches at home always taught about being a good sport. Tech stared at Jiho's hand, then slowly reached out and took it. How did you learn to move like that? Jiho shrugged. Playing games, I guess. Tag, dodgeball, hide and seek. Tech's blue skin darkened slightly. You must teach me these games. From the observation booth, Administrator Tak made a decision. Contact the Galactic Council, he told his assistant. Tell them we need a full review of human educational methods. I believe we've been underestimating them all along. The Galactic Council's Education Committee sat around a large round table. 12 representatives from different alien species looked at the screens in front of them. They had called an emergency meeting to discuss the human exchange program. We have received reports from both sides of the exchange, said Chairperson Vex, a tall being with silver skin. The findings are unexpected. The screens showed videos of Jiho at Nexus Academy and the alien children at Daegu Kindergarten. The committee members watched as Jiho won his challenge against Tech using movements learned from playground games. They watched human children smoothly switch from play to disciplined emergency drills and back again. How is this possible? Asked a reptilian committee member. Humans are classified as a non-aggressive species, yet their children show combat readiness equal to our warrior races. Administrator Tak, who had been invited to the meeting, stepped forward. We have been analyzing this for weeks. The key is in how humans approach training. He touched a control, and the screen showed split views of different activities. On one side, alien children in battle schools practiced formal combat moves with serious faces. On the other side, human children played tag, climbed playground equipment, and had pillow fights, all while laughing. These activities appear completely different, Tak explained. But the skills being developed are remarkably similar. An older alien with white fur and wise eyes nodded slowly. This was Ambassador Lorne, who had studied many species. I believe I understand, Lorne said. Humans evolved on a death world. Their planet has thousands of natural dangers, but they also evolved to be social creatures with long childhoods. The committee listened carefully. Lorne had great experience with different species. Their solution is brilliant, Lorne continued. They disguise survival training as play. Their children develop needed skills without the psychological stress our methods create. But how effective is this approach? Another member asked. Play seems inefficient. Tak touched his controls again. New data appeared on the screens. Very effective, he said. When tested on adaptive problem solving, team coordination, and creative thinking, human children consistently score higher than those from traditional battle schools. The committee members murmured in surprise. Consider what we've seen, Tak continued. Human kindergartens produced 5-year-olds who can assess threats, respond to emergencies, work in teams, and adapt to new situations. And they do this while maintaining psychological health. Ambassador Lorne nodded. Think about the human child, Jiho. When danger threatened younger students, he reacted instantly with perfect technique. Not because he was ordered to train for such situations, but because similar movements were part of his play. The skills had become instinct. Are you suggesting we should change our training methods? A stern committee member asked. I am suggesting we have much to learn from humans, Lorne replied. They have solved a problem we didn't know we had. Their children are both happy and prepared. Chairperson Vex looked thoughtful. This explains the combat ratings in human kindergartens. They aren't training warriors. They're developing capabilities while protecting their young from psychological harm. Precisely, Talk agreed. They have regular assessments to track development, but the children see these as normal health checks, not pressure-filled tests. A species that turns survival training into joy, Ambassador Lorne said quietly. That is a kind of advancement we hadn't considered. What do you recommend? Chairperson Vex asked. Expand the exchange program, Talk suggested. Learn from human methods. Perhaps there is a middle path between our approach and theirs. And update humanity's classification immediately, Ambassador Lorne added. A species that can make warriors of their young while keeping them innocent is not to be underestimated. The committee members looked at each other. Finally, Chairperson Vex nodded. Agreed. Humanity's threat assessment will be upgraded, and we will learn from them, as they learn from us. On the screens, the committee watched Jeho teaching a group of alien children to play freeze tag. The aliens were laughing as they ran and dodged, not realizing they were learning battle movements that would usually take months to master. Most impressive, Vex said softly. They made training a game their children want to play. 6 months had passed since the beginning of the Galactic Educational Exchange Program. At Nexus Battle Academy, things looked very different now. Jeho stood in the center of a large training room. Around him, 20 alien children from different species watched carefully. Today we're going to play Capture the Flag, Jeho announced. Duna's team will defend the blue flag. Tech's team will defend the red flag. You need to protect your flag while trying to capture the other team's flag. Remember, Duna added, this is a game, but you're practicing real skills. Teamwork, strategy, and quick thinking. The alien children nodded eagerly. These human-style training sessions had become the most popular activities at the academy. Even Master Velk stood at the side of the room, watching with interest. Begin, Jeho called. The children broke into their teams and began playing. They laughed and shouted as they ran, dodged, and worked together. But Master Velk could see the serious skills they were developing. Their movements were becoming smoother, their teamwork stronger. Administrator Talk entered the room and stood beside Master Velk. Impressive, isn't it? Talk asked. Master Velk nodded. 6 months ago, I would have said this was a waste of training time. Now I see the benefits clearly. The data supports it, Talk agreed. Students who participate in human-style training show a 20% improvement in adaptive thinking and team coordination. They watched as Tech, who had once been Jeho's rival, now worked closely with 2 smaller aliens, creating a diversion while his teammates snuck toward the blue flag. And the psychological benefits are even greater, Talk added. Stress levels are down. Learning retention is up. On Earth, at Daegu Central Kindergarten, teacher Hae-yoon watched as her class demonstrated their skills for visiting education officials. The class now had 6 alien children, not just the original 3. They had become fully integrated with the human children. For our next activity, Hae-yoon announced, we will show the new balance course designed by our Torlak friend, Rix. Rix stepped forward, standing tall and proud. This course combines human play equipment with Torlak precision training, he explained to the officials. The children moved through the course, which featured elements from both human playgrounds and alien training facilities. They helped each other, giving tips and encouragement. The exchange has benefited everyone, Hae-yoon told the officials. Our human children have learned focus and discipline from their alien friends, and the alien children have learned creativity and joy in movement. One official, who had traveled from the Galactic Council itself, nodded approvingly. We are implementing similar programs across 50 worlds now. The results are consistently positive. 1 month later, children from both the Academy and Earth kindergartens gathered for a special event. They called it the Intergalactic Field Day, and it was held in a large park on Earth. Jaiho and Duna stood with teacher Heiyun and administrator Tak, watching hundreds of human and alien children playing together. They ran relay races, played capture the flag, and worked through obstacle courses. "Look at them," Duna said. "You can't tell who is from battle school and who is from kindergarten anymore." Jaiho smiled. "That's the point. We're learning from each other." Tak nodded. The Galactic Council has officially updated its educational guidelines. All young ones deserve both training and joy. And humanity status, Heiyun asked. "Significantly upgraded," Tak said. The Council's final report stated, "A species that turns survival training into joyful experiences for their young is not to be underestimated. They don't train warriors. They raise children who can become warriors in seconds if needed, but prefer not to be." Jaiho looked confused. "But we never meant to be warriors." "That's what makes it special," Duna explained. "You prepare without creating fear. You learn to protect without losing kindness." As the sun began to set, the children gathered for a final game of freeze tag. Alien and human children ran together, laughing and playing. But now everyone understood that this simple game taught important skills: alertness, agility, teamwork, and quick thinking. "It's beautiful," Heiyun said. "The line between human play and alien training has blurred." "Not blurred," Tak corrected with a rare smile. "Strengthened. We have found the best of both worlds." Jaiho watched his friends, both human and alien, playing in the evening light. He never expected that his kindergarten games would change how aliens saw humans. But sometimes the biggest lessons come from the smallest people. And sometimes the best way to prepare for a dangerous universe is to learn while laughing.